we had the discussion about the New York
Mm-hmm.
Giants and the disease of me, and it upset a lot of Giants fans, and more than Giants fans, even Giants analysts were talking about it and saying that, hey, we're kind of misguided with the Giants and the contract structures that they have to get going forward. Daniel Jones got his big deal earlier this offseason, right at the deadline before the franchise tag. Saquon Barkley's on the tag. We knew that Dexter Lawrence was due up to get paid as well, and he got paid 4 years, $90 million, $60 million guaranteed, and that falls right in line with the defensive tackle market that we've seen so far this offseason with those big boys getting all the big money there. But where do you think Big Blue now goes from here, especially as it pertains to Saquon Barkley, who's still not signing said franchise tag and wants that long-term extension?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, I think people really misunderstood what I said about the Giants. I said, to me, I never said that they had the disease of me. I said there's potential for the disease of me. And it's the potential that happens for any team that goes from good to great. So, I mean, if you play it back, I mean, it's hilarious to read some of the tweets and things I get from people on Twitter that clearly didn't understand what I was saying. And I never said their locker room was bad. I said they have the potential. When you pay certain players and don't pay others, I think the Lawrence contract is good for the Giants because he's a much better player than Leonard Williams, a much better player. You know, and they got to pay Leonard Williams $18 million of a cap charge this year. And, you know, and Lawrence knows he's a better player, so they paid him, which I think they had to pay him. So, look, what happens when you win, everybody wants to get paid. That's the disease of me. And Lawrence is one of those guys who deserve to get paid because he is one of their better players. So, now, what do they do with Saquon? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious what they do with Saquon. Either play on the tag or don't play. Like, why would you pay? Dalvin Cook's out. Dalvin Cook's going to be out there. We saw the Eagles just trade for Swift for a fourth-round pick. I mean, the running back, Tony Pollard, ran to the window to sign his tag. Like, why would we want to extend Barkley out when, in fact, the market doesn't lend itself? Like, this market that you're paying him on the tag is way more than what you probably want to pay him. So why would you do that? I mean, he's a $10 million cap charge. I think the Giants going into the weekend after they did the Lawrence contract, I think they have like $1 million. So they got $1.5 million. I'm sure they still have money. They're going to have to get a bunch of money to sign their draft picks to make sure they got IR players, all that stuff. So they got more things to cut. It's like the Jets. I mean, they're holding on to Corey Davis at $10 million when everybody in the league knows they got to cut him because they're going to need to build cap room to get through the season.
No, I think the interesting thing here for the New York Giants, and I'm curious just about what the locker room dynamic would be, is that when you see a guy like Dexter Lawrence get paid, Daniel Jones gets paid, Saquon Barkley is also a vocal locker room leader in that locker room there. He has the captain's C on his chest and everything like that. If this ends up dragging into a training camp deal where it is a holdout, how can that kind of affect said locker room? And like, I'm not trying to stir up anything saying that the Giants are going to have locker room issues, but I do think the dynamic of saying the players looking at Barkley and thinking, damn, if he can't get paid, like, what's going on here? You know, because like that's our guy that we go to war with every single Sunday here, and he's obviously one of their best offensive players.
Well, he is definitely one of their best offensive players, but the reality of it is the market of running backs doesn't lend itself to this, right? I mean, we see this all the time. I mean, Minnesota, you know, they're sitting there. They're very tight on the cap, and you know, Dalvin Cook's due to make $10.4 million this year, and so you know they have very little acceleration left. They're trying to move him. They've tried to move him since the offseason because when they re-signed Madison, they basically said, okay, look, Madison's not as good as Cook, but we get the offset for money, and we need that. And so I think to me it's like you're sitting there. I'm all for running backs getting paid because I think they're weapons. There's no denying that. And I think Saquon is a huge weapon in what they do. But I don't know how you can't pay everybody. That's the problem. You can't pay everybody. Would I rather have Saquon than Adoree Jackson? I mean, Adoree Jackson's got $11 million in paragraph 5. I think he's got a couple more years left. Is he better? You know, I'd rather have him. You know, they've got guys on their cap that would I rather is he better than Leonard Williams? Yeah. But how do you pay everybody? I think that's the fundamental question. And if you don't pay Barkley, it's because you just don't want to pay a running back. I mean, I think Barkley's a really good player. But I would have let Barkley kind of hit the market. Like I said that. I would have franchised Barkley and let Jones hit the market. I've said that. because I think the running backs, I mean, look at the Eagles. They got Rashard Penny. They got Swift. They got Boston Scott. I mean, they put no money into it.
Mm-hmm. Now, in fairness, I mean, the Eagles also got those guys for the cheap because they have their own concerns with Penny and Swift inability to stay healthy and all that stuff.
Well,
but the
you don't
point
think
is, well,
what about Barkley's ability to stay healthy? You not worried about that, defense attorney?
Oh no, you're 100% worried about it. I think you're 100%.
Yeah,
worried
of course you are. I mean, like seriously, like, huh?
I said he's at a different level, though. I would think that just from a talent standpoint.
Well, I don't think he's any doubt he's really talented. I mean, last year he played all the games. I think he was hurt for one game, but that I mean, other than his rookie season, I mean, that was the first time he's played 16 games. Look, and I think to me, I think one of the things that you got to be able to do is they got to be able to find a way to get him where he is. I mean, he had 76 targets last year, 57 catches. He averaged 6 yards a catch. Like that, you got to get that up to 9. Eckler is at 9.6. Kamara's at 9.5. They're in the 9s. That's what you have to do. You have to be able to get the back to do more than 6 yards per reception. That's the most critical thing. That's when you pay him. I mean, when you look at Dalvin Cook, that one of the things Dalvin Cook can do is he can make plays in the passing game. I mean, that's what you want to do. And I think to me, that's ultimately where backs have to get paid. They have to get paid when they're making plays. I mean, Cook had 56 targets. He had 39 catches. He averaged 7.6 yards a catch. He had 2 touchdowns. He got 16 first downs. 16 first downs on catches. Barkley got 10. Barkley averaged 5.9. Barkley did not have a touchdown in catching. I mean, that's what now, I'm not saying that's Barkley's fault, but that's part of, if you're going to pay him, it's a little bit like I kept saying about Zeke. If you're going to pay Zeke, you got to use him in the passing game.
Yeah, you've got to up those numbers, and Zeke right now is on the open market. They're still looking for a team to sign with after the Cowboys released him. Thanks for watching the GM Shuffle with Michael Lombardi, and for more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to VSiN Live and the GM Shuffle podcast with Michael Lombardi, presented by DraftKings and VSiN, wherever you get your podcasts.